All right, I'm gonna just go ahead and get started. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for coming. Welcome to the Declassified Survival Guide of just surviving the B School. My name is Shay. I'll be one of your hosts along with Xander. And so, just to start off, we're going to introduce ourselves. Xander and panelists, when you're introducing yourselves, just say your name, year in school, what you're studying, and some of your involvements in organizations, both inside and outside of Olin. So like I said, everyone, hi, my name's Shay. I'm a junior or third year. I'm studying finance and marketing. And outside of Olin, I'm involved in football and SIGAP. And inside of Olin, I'm involved in the Olin Business Council, which is basically just the student government or student body of the business school. So now I'll give it to Xander to introduce himself.
Oops, muted. Hi. Thanks, Shay. So I'm Xander. I'm also a rising junior, and I'm from Portland, Oregon. So I'm majoring in financial engineering as well as economics and strategy. And like Shay, I'm also involved in Olin Business Council, which is like the student government of the business school, as well as the WashU Training Club and my fraternity.
Hi guys, I'm Lisa, rising sophomore. I'm studying business administration and computer science under a joint degree program. Outside of Olin, I'm part of fencing club and sailing club. Inside Olin, I'm part of Olin Peer Ambassador Entrepreneurship Club, and I'm founding BizTech Club this year.
Hi everybody, my name is Natalia. I am from South Florida, and I'm a rising senior. Inside of Olin, I'm involved with Olin Peer Ambassadors, so I lead some tours and get to know freshmen like you all, and women in finance. And outside of Olin, I'm a part of the WashU Political Review.
Hey everyone, my name is Brock Mullen. I'm a rising sophomore here in the Olin Business School. For my primary major, I'm still deciding between finance and marketing, and then I have a second major in Chinese through this College of Arts and Sciences. And inside of Olin, I'm involved with the Olin Peer Ambassadors like Lisa and Natalia, and then I'm also a strategy consultant for Bear Studios, which is a student-owned consulting firm here on campus. And outside of Olin, I am a part of ACTS, which is a Christian group on campus. I'm also on the Model United Nations team and do some different work with the admissions office.
Great, thank you guys. So the way we kind of just wanted to go through this today was Shay and I are going to ask our panelists a few questions, and then after that, we're going to open up to you guys because we think it's most effective if you guys ask your questions instead of us just talking to you the whole time. So I guess the first question I wanted to ask you guys, you panelists, is what has the adjustment to remote learning been like, and what strategies have you used to be successful? So Lisa, do you want to start us off?
Yeah, sure. So we started doing online learning after spring break, and although it was really frustrating in the beginning because we never experienced this before, I had like a Zoom pause with my study mates, like from my classes, and having like Zoom meetings with my classmates to do homework together or study for a quiz together was really helpful. And since like we are all isolated and I could not meet my friends, I was felt like, I was still like, next to my friends, like related to my friends, like forming a community there. So having a Zoom meetings with my friends to prepare for classes and study for the classes was very helpful for me.
Brock?
Yeah, similar to Lisa, I definitely was able to do some online studying and hangouts with friends, which is really helpful. But something I also wanted to point out was that our professors were very flexible and they were trying their best and really wanted to make the classes successful for us. So they were always asking if we had suggestions for how they could make the class more exciting or more engaging. Like one day my accounting professor had us all bring our dog to class. And so it's just like, so our professors did a lot of things to make it fun and engaging, and I really appreciated that they were trying.
Natalia?
So I have not experienced, like you guys, what remote learning is going to be like with WashU. I was actually abroad last semester, so I have a very different experience, but so far going into fall semester, I've been reached out to by pretty much all of my professors, and they've reassured me with the fact that classes and learning, it's not going to be very different. We're still going to get that comprehensive hands-on, well, not hands-on, but you know what I mean, like the professors are going to do their best to make it work and to make it as seamless as possible. So I'm feeling the same things as you guys. We're all in this together, and it seems like Olin is really on top of things, and the communication is there so far.
Awesome. Thank you, Natalia. Shay, do you want to ask them the next question?
Yeah, I'll go ahead with that. And before I do, I just want to let you know, incoming students, if you guys have any questions, just go ahead and put it in the chat and we'll get it answered as soon as possible. So my next question is, there's a lot of different clubs and organizations and resources within the business school. So how do you navigate those B school clubs and resources in a virtual environment? And again, we'll start with Lisa.
For me, I went to club fairs, activity fairs, specifically for Olin. Unfortunately, this year that wouldn't happen in person, so I highly recommend you guys to attend virtual activities fair next week from Monday through Friday. I think those are really, really helpful. I'll be hosting a club fair for my club as well, and we're all like very excited for that. So yeah.
Brock?
Yeah, definitely lots of ways to get involved, even in the online space. And as Lisa mentioned, activities fairs next week, not just for Olin, but for all of WashU. So highly recommend checking that out throughout the week next week. But in addition to that, a way you can get involved is with the Career Center. And I, coming in as a first year student, was like, oh, I don't need to start thinking about a job yet. That's way after graduation. And that's definitely true. Definitely don't have to worry about that. But the Career Center is amazing. We all have an assigned career coach, and I absolutely love my career coach. She is so helpful with helping me get a resume together, because some clubs ask for that sometimes, and just talking to her, kind of planning out maybe what careers I want to pursue. So definitely doesn't hurt. You can set up a virtual meeting with your career coach, and that you'll love it. All of our career coaches are amazing, and it's super helpful no matter where you are in the career process.
Yeah, just to jump in on that, one thing that I've always loved about Olin, and I'm sure is not going to change, is how much resources they offer to students, especially first-year students. I'm sure we will continue to offer help with classes. I know a lot of you will probably be taking calculus and stuff in the fall, and we have a lot of things like PLTL that will happen virtually, and we really will offer you as many tools as we can to help that transition be seamless, like I said last time, and make sure that success will happen and you guys have the opportunity to succeed in your first semester, whatever that means for you. So don't be like discouraged or think that it's going to be harder, that we're not going to offer you the same sort of resources that we would if we were in person. I really do believe that the staff has gone above and beyond to make sure that that will happen for all of you. And in terms of campus involvement, it will be a little bit interesting and weird, and I'm kind of curious to see how that works out too. But we are already planning for, like Lisa and Brock mentioned, virtual campus activities fairs and stuff like that. So it will happen. It's just going to be a little bit more distant and online.
Thanks, guys. Xander, if you could go ahead and ask the next question.
Yeah, so what might a class schedule and homework load look like for a first semester Olin student? Lisa, if you want to start us off again.
Lisa, you're on mute.
Yeah, my network was unstable. Can you repeat the question? Because you're kind of cut off.
Oh, yeah, sorry about that. What might a class schedule and homework load look like for a first semester Olin student?
So for the first semester, all freshmen are required to take Management 100 and Management 150. 150 is pretty easy class. It's like, I think 1.5 credit or something. But Management 100 class, although it is 100 level, a lot of B school students think it is one of the hardest class, but it really prepares for you to take other classes in the future. It covers everything from like basic level of like communication, like management, finance, accounting, all all the like basic like concepts of business foundations that you need to take classes in the future. And the professors were amazing. Olin has really great professors for those classes. However, the workload might be depends based on the homework and the quiz on that day, on the week. Like for example, if I don't have any quizzes or tests for the week, I will normally spend like 3 hours per week to just read the assigned readings and just do those. However, if I have quiz or tests, I will normally spend like 7 to 10 hours preparing for those tests and quizzes, which are pretty difficult, but very helpful, and it will be very worthwhile like in the end. Yeah.
Thanks, Lisa. Brock?
Yeah. So as Lisa mentioned, all first years in the business school take management 100 and 150. And then outside of that, as Natalia alluded to, a lot of students take calculus. Some of you will probably be taking college writing. I took computer science. That was a really helpful class. A lot of first year students take that. And then I also, for my Chinese major, was taking Chinese. So outside of your business classes, it really depends on the specific classes you're taking, what the workload will look like. But something to that I would like to mention, at least, the background I came from was not as academically rigorous as WashU, and I was really reminded the first few weeks of classes that WashU is a top 20 school, which means you're going to get a top 20 education, which involves a lot of homework, a lot of learning, and I love it, and it's amazing. I'm so thankful for that opportunity, but it definitely is something that needs to be taken seriously, and it is a lot of work, but there is definitely a lot of reward in the end.
Thanks, Brock. Natalia?
Yeah, I agree with everything that Lisa and Brock have said, so I won't repeat anything. But I will say just a piece of advice. I found this super helpful freshman year. If you go into your class knowing you're going to pay full attention, take good notes, your study time will be cut in half. And I know it's hard online. Like I struggled with this when I was taking my abroad classes transferred online. And, it could get a little bit distracting and it's not as engaging at times. But if you really try hard to be fully, in it when you're looking at your classes online and trying to like really engage with your professors, ask good questions, come prepared to class, studying for exams, doing homework, it's going to be so much easier. And I wish I could take my own advice with this sometimes, and I know it's easier said than done, but I really encourage you, especially during this first semester, to keep that in mind with all of your classes and just really try to focus as much as you can. Workload, having said that piece of advice, really it differs depending on how much time you take, how much time you need to study, how much time you take on homework and stuff like that. A big part of my freshman year was kind of taken up by group projects and group meetings. Some of them are a little bit more productive than others and can run longer than others. So we'll see if those can still happen, but that was a big portion of my week on a normal basis. But when it comes to midterms and stuff like that and final exams, you're spending pretty much all day in the library or studying for those. So really varies depending on the week.
Thank you, Natalia. Shay, you want to ask your other question?
Sure, I'll go ahead. So a lot of people really don't know too much about our career resources and things like that. So for the panelists, what sort of career resources are available, and excuse me, and how did you kind of go about navigating those career resources?
I think Brooke mentioned it earlier, but although there is a career center for the whole WashU students, we have a career center specifically for Olin students called Western Career Center. And as a freshman, I thought I'm not ready to, meet the career advisors, like not to like start preparing for the internships. However, that's not true. You guys are always free to schedule meetings with your career advisors. They're always like open to like have conversations with you. And there are so many opportunities for freshmen as well. And there are so many like maybe not internships, but like exploring like big corporate, like finance corporate, like business companies for like 1 day or 3 days. There are so many programs specifically for first years, and I think it's really important to know all those resources. I think there are monthly like emails sent out to Olin students from Western Career Center, and those are really useful too because they literally list out every single resources that you can possibly find, like from internship opportunities to Microsoft Team links that for like specific career interest groups, and I think those are really helpful. So make sure to check out those as well. I think Western Career Center has a lot of resources for first years.
Oh, I already mentioned this earlier. So I guess another online resource that I forgot to mention is definitely take advantage of your four-year advisor. And I know my four-year advisor is amazing and super helpful for me. And definitely a wonderful resource if you have any questions about classes or anything about graduation, that kind of thing. That definitely a good resource to use as well online.
Yeah, so I've had the full 4 years to experience that career help that Weston Career Center can offer. And I think they do an amazing job of just trying to do as much research as they can to make sure that our students have all the tools necessary to get the job that they want or the internship that they want. I worked for one of the offices, so I really saw like the behind the scenes, how much time and effort they put into getting to know the students and getting to know the needs of the students. One thing that I recently found out, like there's actually so much that I'm still learning what they offer as a senior, is they have a certain like email chain for each industry that will send out, if you sign up for it, we'll send out emails pretty much monthly or regularly with updates on what, let's say I'm on the finance one, for example. Any opportunities in finance that are coming to WashU, any companies that are coming for coffee chats or having some sort of presentation on campus and stuff like that, or have just listed internship opportunities that you're eligible for. They'll send you an email and you'll basically know everything that's going on in that industry. And I'm sure they have it for consulting and marketing and what have you. So I think those things are super helpful. It takes a lot of the time out of, digging through LinkedIn posts or digging through anything else like that. As a freshman, I use them for all of those like early insight programs. They send out a lot of things that are local to St. Louis. So that's how I kind of got my internship sophomore year. But I do recommend just kind of browsing through that website when you get the chance to see the Weston Career Center website, to be specific, to see what they offer. The earlier you know, the better. I think it's never too early to start looking at stuff like that. It makes the process a lot easier, but also like, don't be super stressed out about that. You guys already have enough on your plate. Just know that there's a lot of people that are on your side, in your corner, that want to help you.
Thank you, guys, and I'll turn it over to Xander to ask our last host-led question, and then we'll turn it over to student questions.
All right, thanks, Shay. So last question isn't really Olin specific, but I just wanted to ask you guys, what did you wish you had known before coming into college? Anything social, academic, everything's up for grabs.
I can
I
go ahead
guess.
sorry.
Yeah, you can go ahead. You can go ahead.
Okay, yeah, sure. So I think there's two main things that I think would have been helpful to know. One of them I alluded to earlier is that I was not necessarily prepared for the academic rigor of WashU, and definitely, so a lot of my peers they went to a high school that prepared them well, but mine didn't. So definitely, it was a very rude awakening my first few weeks of class. I was like, oh, my classes, these seem pretty easy, and they were a lot of work. And so definitely that to realize that it's not, even like how Lisa said, management 100 is quote easy. It's easy in comparison to other classes, but it's still a lot of work. It's still definitely a very valuable class. So that's definitely something to keep in mind. But then also, outside of that, before coming to WashU and especially Olin, I was kind of averse to group projects. I didn't necessarily like working with groups or teams because I felt like sometimes I'd get stuck with doing a bigger share of the work. But now I've learned how valuable it is to work in a group. And in all of your Olin classes, pretty much all of them for the most part, you'll be in groups working on group projects, and that isn't going to change in the virtual landscape as well. So definitely be excited for that, because you can just get so many more ideas and a different perspective. And it's also just a lot more fun to work on an essay with your friends or with peers rather than just sitting there by yourself writing it. So that's my 2 pieces of advice.
Thanks, Brock. Yeah, I totally agree with those two. And on top of that, before I came to college, I was really afraid of professors. I thought they'll be really grumpy, not willing to interact with students, but that's really not true. With WashU professors, they're always open to communicate with students, and they always have like so many office hours almost every day. And even if they don't have that much office hours that work with you, if you email them and like have an appointment with them, they're like more than welcome to like meet with you outside of class. So please don't feel afraid to reach out to your professors. Olin professors especially are very welcoming, and they love to interact with students.
I'll say something really fast, and I'm going to sound like such an old, jaded person by saying this, but I wish I knew how fast it goes by. And when I say this, I just want to focus on like, don't get caught up in doing things for other people. Don't take on a major that you're not passionate about and you're not excited about because somebody else wants you to. Don't take classes for that reason either. Like, it goes by so fast. You have only 4 years, which as a freshman seems like a lot. As a senior, I'm like, it flew by. And I wish there were things that I did when I had the chance to. So really take advantage of the 4 years and all of the great things. Take classes outside of Olin, join clubs that are interesting to you but might seem a little weird or out of your comfort zone when you get the chance to. Because especially after this weird time that we've been going through, I'm sure you all feel the same way. Like, you never know what's going to happen in the future. Just take advantage of the present, do things that you love and that excite you. So that would be my advice.
Thanks, guys. I just wanted to add something here. I think it's really important to remember that most of us don't make your best friend in college in the first, day, week, month, even first semester. I think I kind of came in with the idea that I would be best friends with my roommate and everyone on my floor. And I really didn't make my best friends until probably like second semester of my freshman year, first semester sophomore year. So I think don't rush into it. Don't get scared that you're not going to have any friends, that you don't like the people you're around. Or, I mean, everyone at WashU is awesome, but it's just like it takes time to find your fit, and everyone's going to find their fit. It just, whether it be through a club, through Greek life, through your floor, through your roommate, I think it's just important to remember that don't be scared if it doesn't happen right away. On that note, I'm going to pass it off to Shay. Thank you guys for answering our pre-prepared questions, but we're going to start it off with some student questions now.
Thanks, Xander, and thank you so much to our wonderful panelists for all their advice. So we do have a lot of questions coming in, so I'm going to just get right into it. This one is a pretty interesting question. Could any of you guys talk about your experience with any of the business fraternities, advantages, disadvantages, and how it's going to work this semester? If any of you guys know that, you can go ahead and jump in. That's all right. I guess I'll go ahead and start. So I'm not in a business fraternity. I rushed one of them, but it ended up not working out. Overall, I'd say it's a pretty solid experience. I think it's a really great opportunity to network and get to meet people who are outside of your interests. So the main 3 that we have right now, and I think in total we actually have 5, AKSI, DSP, PGN, and ENT, I think, is our newest one. They're all, they all have like, slightly different initiatives and ways they go about it. But a lot of them are really focused on both professional and social development. So they help you out with things like resumes, interviews, things like that. So overall, I think that's a good experience. Disadvantage, I would say, is, it is a big time commitment. It is pretty hard, especially in the semester that you are rushing, which is basically like applying. You have to meet a bunch of people, go to a bunch of different events, and then essentially do an interview with every single person in the chapter. So that's pretty lengthy. As far as how it's going to work, I'll be honest, I'm not 100% sure. I think what they're going to do is have either socially distanced in-person events or probably a lot of virtual rush type events. So that's how I think it's going to work. And I can, even if you guys want, reach out to some people in business fraternities and get a more specific answer for you. Does anyone have anything to add to that, if anyone knows more info? Alrighty, no worries. So our next question is, will there be any in-person interaction with Olin faculty or advisors during the fall semester on campus? And I think this is actually a good question for Yoon. If you're on the line, you're one of our faculty advisors. I think that's a question that you can answer.
Hi, everyone. Yeah, so there will definitely be ways to interact with faculty and academic advisors, your career advisors, and things like that. The in-person portion, it really just kind of depends on the situation and kind of who's around on campus, when you are wanting to meet. But, we're always available via Zoom. Definitely make appointments with us, anyone across Olin. If you have questions, because everyone is willing to meet with you pretty quickly. But yeah, I mean, definitely lots of ways to interact, just in person, maybe limited.
Thank you so much, Yoon. So our next question, and Lisa, I'm going to go ahead and turn this one over to you. Could you elaborate on any first-year programs for work experience under corporations or internships of that sort?
Ooh, okay, so for me, I just did multiple things, but one thing that I want to highlight that I did over the summer was a consulting project that I was able to do actually through Olin. So due to COVID-19, as we all know, a lot of us got laid off or the internship offer was rejected. So a lot of people didn't know their summer plans, and thankfully, Olin provided us with a really great program. Management 401, it's a one credit course that you can take, and basically they match WashU Olin students with a small business in St. Louis area, so they can do a consulting project for those small businesses. I was a first year, so I was really hesitant to apply because the program applies for first year through graduate students, but luckily I was able to get in the program, and I was matched with a one company in St. Louis area called Anova Furnishings. And me and three other Olin students were able to do a consulting project over the summer for that company. And throughout the summer, we were able to supervise by Olin professor as well. And that was a really cool consulting project to do over the summer. And it was a really fun, and I guess it was something that I was really thankful for Olin to do it, because I had an internship offer before that, but it was rejected due to COVID-19. I didn't know what to do over the summer. And after that project, I was able to learn more about the consulting and like doing a case for a company in real life, and able to apply what I learned in class through this project.
Thank you, Lisa. So our next question is about Management 100 and 150. And this one, I'm going to turn it over to Xander. So do you recommend handwritten or typed notes for Management 100 and Management 150?
Well, I mean, I think it goes for the same for any class. Studies have shown that you retain information better if you take handwritten notes instead of typing. So, I mean, in a lot of classes, at least when they were in person, you weren't even allowed to use a computer unless you had some special circumstances. So in a lot of business school classes, not just Management 100 and Management 150, you do have to buy notebooks and pencils, and you have to take handwritten notes. So computers aren't usually an option. I'm assuming now, though, that since a lot of the classes are going to be hybrid or online, you're going to be able to use a computer, maybe not in class, but at least, online. but I think that it's definitely much better to do handwritten notes. And so I definitely recommend going that route.
Thank you, Xander. I would agree completely. They've helped me a lot with retention. So yeah, I completely agree with that perspective. Our next question, I'm going to turn it over to Natalia. So since most activities and professional events are going to be held virtually, what do you recommend we take and wear as far as business attire?
I would recommend, just in case, it doesn't hurt to bring one suit jacket. Boys and girls, doesn't matter. I guess if you're going to do some sort of virtual interview, you don't really have to worry about bottoms you're wearing, even though I always freak out and for some reason think that my a suit if you're in the business school, just in case. You never know what you're going to be invited to or whatever. Can you guys hear me still? My internet, I think, might have. Good. Okay. So yeah, but for the most part, as a freshman, I didn't have that many business clothes. I didn't really start accumulating that until like sophomore, junior year when I did an internship. So I wouldn't be like super worried about buying this whole new wardrobe or anything like that just yet.
Thanks, Natalia. This one I'm just going to open to all of us in general because I think it's pretty relevant. So how many credits did we all take as a freshman in the first semester? And I'll start with Lisa, and then we'll work our way to Brock, Natalia, Xander, and then I'll finish us off.
For first semester, I actually didn't take many classes. The minimum credit requirement for all of you guys, not just for first year, every student at WashU is 12 credits, and I took 13 credits. And most people usually take somewhere between 12 to 15 for the first semester because you are transitioning into a new place. And I would recommend like taking somewhere like between 12 to 15 credits. I took 2 business classes, 1 computer science class, and 1 PE class. And I think that was a pretty good course load for the first semester. I think it will be easier to adapt into like WashU, like new culture, like new environment, especially with the COVID-19, everything is like new and strange. I would recommend to take like somewhere under 15 from my experience.
For me so far, I have taken 18 credits each semester, but that is because my Chinese class is 6 credits. So I'm in the same number of classes, but my Chinese class meets 6 times a week. So it's more of a commitment than most other classes. And that definitely was a lot, and definitely a big adjustment to. I was totally able to use time management skills and still have social time, homework time, personal time, class time, and it all worked out. But as Lisa said, I would recommend sticking around 15, unless like for me, it was just, it happened. That's just how it worked out. But yeah, somewhere around 15 is what most people do.
Yeah, so I did 15 my first semester, and what my academic advisor told me is that if you want to graduate on time, you need to take on average 15 credits every semester. I'm not sure if that's changed or not since I was a freshman, but that's definitely what pretty much everyone takes is 15, 16 credits. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but you can take up to 21 credits with your tuition. So if you can go beyond that, but you're gonna have to pay extra money, and I don't think any of us would recommend ever going beyond that. But 15, 100% stay around there. Your first semester, it's gonna be quite a shock for a lot of people how much 15 credits of work actually is. So I wouldn't overload yourself because it's probably going to be a lot more than you expect.
I agree with the 15 number. I always tend to stay around that. And even from the perspective of someone who's at like the end of this college journey, I have plenty of credits left for like electives and stuff. Like I'm double majored in finance and economics and strategy, and I had time to go abroad. So you really have plenty of space in your calendar, especially freshman year. Like, don't worry about, let me take all of the IS credits and life science and stuff. Like, I know I was super stressed about that, and my advisor was Yoon, and she was very good about you can take that junior year, senior year, when you'll have some extra space, and it won't be as heavy about your major at that point, when you're pretty much doing the fun stuff that you want to be doing with your major towards the end. So I recommend, as a freshman, take a fun class along with the Management 100, Management 150, if you're doing math and have to get that calculus credit out of the way. Try to alleviate the stress a little bit and take something you're interested in, maybe something that you're good at, and maybe something that doesn't have a final exam.
I also just wanted to quickly add, if you took AP classes in high school, you can get so many credits with the AP credits, up to 15 credits, which is a lot. So definitely look for AP credits as well.
Yeah, I completely agree with everything that's been said. I think if you can sneak a few classes without a final in there, that's super helpful. I took 15 credits my first semester, and even as a student athlete, that was fairly manageable for me. But again, it depends on, mostly how well you manage your time, whether you're getting things done in your breaks between classes and things like that. So now I'm going to move on to another question. And this one's about financial engineering. So I'm going to give it to you, Xander, because you're actually studying this. So what majors do most people, or a lot of people, pair with the financial engineering double major?
Yeah, so personally, I'm doing financial engineering and economics and strategy. I can't tell you what the most popular one to pair with it is or anything along those lines. I would say, for those of you who don't know what financial engineering is, I basically explain it like it's finance, math, and comp sci all inside of one major. So I take a lot of classes in the engineering school, and I think the main thing that I did is I just didn't want to do finance with it, because you get all of the finance classes and double count them. Can double count them for those. So I wanted to do something a little bit different, and I think economics and strategy just kind of interested me the most. But I think Yoon, I don't know if you have anything to add on this, because I know you know a lot about all of the academic stuff. So
Yeah, I'm actually the advisor for financial engineering, so I can definitely talk about it a little bit. I would say within the business school, econ and strategy tends to be probably the most common pairing. I'm not going to say popular. And then outside of the business school, mathematics seems to be pretty high for students who are in arts and sciences. And then we do have a lot of engineering students who are doing comp sci or ESE, electrical systems engineering. So that's kind of the, that's kind of the mix that you'll see of students who are taking classes with you for financial engineering.
great. Thanks for helping me out there, Yoon.
Thank you, guys. So this next question I'm going to answer, and this is an interesting question and a pretty good one. And panelists, feel free to add anything when I'm done. So the question is, what do most first years do over the summer, and are internships hard to get as a freshman? Now, this is a pretty good question. So over the summer, I did a study abroad program. One of the programs Olin is known for, it's called ISBA. It's the Israel Summer Business Academy. Of course, with the coronavirus pandemic, that study abroad, just became an online class. But, when I went last year, after my first year summer, it was a really good experience. So I'd recommend definitely looking at some of those study abroad programs for Olin. And there's a whole website on it. So there's programs in Israel is the one I went to. There's one in Europe where you go to Bosnia and Spain. And I think there's another one in Asia Pacific. I'm not sure exactly the details about that.
United States. And so it was really